Good morning, Darksiders. I hope everyone's doing well today. Before any of y'all say it, yeah, I shaved. It sucks the soldier's life sometimes. When you get close to having to go on duty, you gotta be clean shaved, so. Eh, I miss my beard already. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. So I know I haven't posted in a while, but that's because Comic Con was coming up, and then there's a few other situations that's been going on that I've been keeping my eyes on, and I just knew for a fact that these weren't just going to be one-time things, that they were going to continue, they were going to progress. There was going to be much more to come out of all this, and so far, I've been correct. But I want to talk about what's they announced with Star Wars. Now, I know I've done my video on the Sith Troopers, which really still confused me, and it still kind of does to me now. I still hold by everything that I said that the Sith Troopers represent and what they could have been. But we've gotten more information about them, as well as a few stories that they are going to come out with that's supposed to be that whole the journey to the Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that. Of which, for many of y'all who remember, they did that with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. They came out with these books and comics, which was about the journey to the movie. Which honestly, especially with The Last Jedi, a lot of those stories were kind of just bleh, and they were just meh. Like, what was the point of these stories? Example, the one with Phasma is, there was the one that was like how Phasma became Phasma, because she grew up on basically a Fallout style world until the First Order came and she betrayed her family. And then there's the comic which showed her escaping the trash compactor, hiding up her treacherous act, just to be put into the movie like 30 minutes later and die. Good job, Phasma. And with the rise of, or I'm sorry, the Force Awakens journey books, the only one that was okayish was the Aftermath book, which, because the Aftermath book looked like it was setting up some things that was going to happen in The Force Awakens, but then we get to The Force Awakens, and then we get to The Last Jedi, and pretty much the Aftermath was just pointless, useless. But we'll talk to that in a second. So let's talk about the news that has come out about the Sith Troopers. So Lucasfilm and Disney they're trying to hype up the Sith Troopers. As I said in my other video, they're trying to show them and make them all like, yeah, they're powerful, they're badass, blah, 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 blah. But I was recently watching a channel, Thro Skywalker, which if you haven't, go check him out. He does top quality Star Wars content. I do enjoy what he makes, and Thor, if you happen to watch this, I'm not bashing you, buddy. I agree with you most of what you say. But what he was talking about is like, I forgot that they made this canon, so I want to thank him for reminding me that. But remember when the Force Awakens was coming out? They were trying to hype up the First Order, and they were trying to hype up the new Stormtrooper designs and everything else. And one of the things that they made canon was they said that the Stormtroopers of the First Order were far superior to those of the Empire, and that the basic training for the First Order Stormtroopers even taught them how to fight Jedi. Now, that got me thinking. Like, I completely forgot that was canonized, and that got me thinking. It's like, okay, hold on. Fighting a Jedi as, a normal human, someone who's non-force sensitive, I mean, that takes some very serious skill. Like, I'll use the example in the Fallen Order trailer that we saw. He was going up against that, what are they called? The Purge Troopers, I believe? I can't remember. The guy who was in the black armor and had the electro staff. I mean, even though that trooper was trained to fight Jedi, that Jedi still was able to eventually overpower him, and even when he used the Force Push ability, he used his electro staff and was able to block it. So, if that was just, one section of troopers. If the First Order troopers, if all the legions are trained that way, if all the legions are specifically trained on how to fight Jedi and presumably how to even, resist mind control effects and things like that, it makes you wonder exactly what's the deal with the Sith Troopers, other than the fact they're just red stormtroopers. I mean, they gotta have some greater purpose that's not just, oh, we're red troopers. Now, I personally believe that the Patarian troopers would have been a much more interesting story for them because, it would have been Snoke controlling them, and, when Ben killed Snoke, then, it would have passed on to him, but, hey, I'm just a guy making small YouTube channels. What do I know? But it got me speculating, like, what could the Sith Troopers be? What could be their purpose? Because if the basic training of troops for the First Order is to basically fight Jedi, are the Sith Troopers possibly Force sensitive? I mean, I don't know exactly how rare Force sensitivity is in the Star Wars universe, at least under Disney. I mean, to be fair, Obi-Wan said that during the height of the Clone War, there was 10,000 Jedi Knights. But, that doesn't account for the whole galaxy, outside the Republic, and that doesn't account for those who were Force sensitives, but they didn't join the Jedi. But, we'll just say that if 10,000 Jedi were there during the height of the Clone War, I mean, it makes you wonder, okay, what else is going on? What else could be wrong? Is it possible that maybe Snoke was, or hell, let's take it for, what if the Sith Troopers were part of the Empire? Part of Palpatine's Legion, and when Snoke took over, he just took them and made them his own, and named them Sith Troopers. Are these troopers enhanced? Is there some kind of Sith alchemy that's going on that has enhanced these troopers? Like, maybe there's some kind of ancient drug, some kind of stimulant that they inject the Sith Troopers that mutates them. Or are they nothing special and they're just like red special forces? I don't know. Because the way I'm viewing this, folks, is if the average stormtrooper in the First Order it can take on a Jedi and is trained to take on a Jedi, these Sith Troopers are going to have to be something that's beyond that basic training. And, the scene with Rey when she uses a mind trick on a stormtrooper, it does make me also wonder that if the stormtroopers were trained to resist Jedi, why did it work on that stormtrooper? Well, the easy answer is plot. They needed the plot because, we don't need no damsel in distress anymore. sorry, I couldn't resist. But honest truth was the plot. They needed the plot to go forward, and Rey's strongest character attributes is the plot. And that's nothing against Daisy Ridley. That's literally just how they wrote Rey. But it makes me wonder, like, storyline, is she just that powerful? Like, truly, is she that powerful where even someone who's been trained to fight Jedi and, assumingly resist mind control, that she can just still take them? Because a prime example, in the Clone Wars animation series, when they captured Cad Bane, even Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Anakin, they were all sitting there using the Force on Cad Bane, and even though he was hurting, he was struggling, he was able to resist them. And I'm just going to use that as a template, because what if, they strengthened the mental capacity of every stormtrooper like Cad Bane to where even 3 of the most powerful Jedi in the Order can't even mind probe them? I'm just saying, it's a thought that I had, but it does make you wonder. And especially, it's like, it makes me even wonder more that the First Order troopers, what they said about them was only a marketing strategy. Because if, JJ wrote Episode 7, and he was going into it as, alright, the Jedi are gone, there's no more Jedi, why even state that the First Order troopers are designed to fight Jedi if, you're going into the story and the Jedi are all gone again? I mean, what's the point of that? There's no Jedi for them to fight. It does make me wonder what the hell is going on, and it does kind of strengthen what I said, where I believe Disney, they just don't know what they're doing. They truly don't. And at this point, it's just like they're throwing a bunch of ideas together, and they're just, it's like a bad Mario Maker level, It's just a bunch of different themes and chaos everywhere. It's just a bad Mario Maker level. But anyway, so sorry about that little rant, but it does make me wonder, is like, what are they doing with the Sith Troopers? Why are they trying to hype them up so much? Because, I mean, these Sith Troopers are going to have to be something damn special. You know, they are going to have to be something damn special if they're hyping them up this much. Or they could just be Red Stormtroopers. Who knows? Who knows? Now, one thing that also happened over Comic-Con is that Disney or Lucasfilm, whatever you want to call them, they announced the whole read these stories and journey to the Rise of Skywalker. You know, that journey we've been on 2 times already. Yeah, okay. I don't know, man. A lot of these books and comics that they've shown with the journey to the Rise of Skywalker, they seem very meh, very bleh. I can't remember all of them, but one of them is like Resistance Reborn or Resistance Reformed or something like that. I mean, you gotta think. At the end of The Last Jedi, the Resistance was reduced to an amount that could fit inside the Millennium Falcon. That's a devastating loss, because you gotta think, the Resistance had enough bodies to fit, Akbar's cruiser. And now they were just reduced to the Millennium Falcon. And, the Millennium Falcon, compared to, Akbar's cruiser in scale size, it makes you wonder. But, a lot of them were happy and smiling at the time, which, I get it. I get it. You literally just went through an impossible battle that you were unsure you'd make it through. Yeah, you'd be happy, but, you start mourning, especially if you're all the Resistance. The Resistance Reborn, or whatever it is, it is presumably that it's going to be about all of those Outer Rim allies that Leia had that basically abandoned the Resistance when they needed them most. I'm not too sure how I feel about those allies, because they just sound very... Talk about the friend, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? I mean, they just abandoned the Resistance when they needed them and left them for dead. There's another short story that came out, which it looked so pointless that I just can't remember what it was, if that tells you anything. The one that people seem to be the most interested about is The Rise of Kylo Ren. It's supposed to be a 4-part or 5-part comic series, kind of like how Shattered Empire was. However, obviously it's a story about Kylo Ren, how he rose from Ben Solo to Kylo Ren. And, obviously the Knights of Ren story has changed, because first they were just dark acolytes, and now they're Luke's fallen students, of which, to repeat Thro Skywalker, as he said in his video, they truly made Luke fail in almost every single aspect, to the point where even half of his students in his Jedi Academy, killed the other half and said, fuck the Jedi, we're out, we're going dark side. I mean, that is an ultimate failure. I mean, it also makes me wonder how Luke trained them or taught them to the point to where they would just reject everything that he would train them and do and follow Kylo Ren to go to the dark side. Plus, it also makes me wonder how many of them had lightsabers, because so far that we know, if all of the Knights of Ren are Force sensitive, why don't they all have lightsabers? Why is it Kylo Ren, the leader, is the only one who has a lightsaber? I mean, it could be the whole, status of authority type deal, but at the same time, I mean, did Luke just not teach them how to use lightsabers, or did he not believe in lightsabers anymore? I don't know. I'm sorry, folks. I'm getting off topic. It does make you wonder. It truly makes you wonder. But honestly, I believe this Rise of Kylo Ren, obviously it's a play off the Rise of Skywalker, but this story should have been done about 3.5 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. Definitely before, or definitely after The Force Awakens. That's when they should have shown more in depth about what the hell happened to Luke's Academy, but they didn't. And for some reason, Lucasfilms, or Disney, whatever you want to call them, they have just been very poor at building up the Star Wars universe around the sequel trilogy. And it looks like now they're finally starting to do it, but it's just like, who cares? Truly, who cares? If you came to me, between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi with a story, The Rise of Kylo Ren, I probably would have read it. I'll be honest. I mean, as you can see in the background, I got a Kylo Ren helmet. Now, don't tell them this, but I paid like $10 for it because it was on clearance, and even me, I was just like, that's a good deal. But, I mean, they're coming out with these stories they should have came out with years ago, and honestly, I just don't think there's a lot of interest there. I mean, we know that half of Luke's Academy, or 12, we don't know how big Luke's Academy is. So, I'm just going to assume that, half of his students left and killed the other half. That is me assuming, because as I said, they haven't told us anything. They left, they joined the dark side, Kylo Ren became their leader, and he was trained under Snoke. Now, it also makes me wonder, what about Snoke's other apprentice, because it has been canonized that Snoke does have another apprentice, but we haven't seen him. I mean, maybe in The Rise of Kylo Ren, maybe Kylo kills him to be like, I'm the only apprentice, cha! Or maybe the apprentice is doing other things. Who knows? Maybe they'll bring the apprentice in The Rise of Skywalker to kind of conflict Kylo Ren, because, from that the second apprentice's point of view, it's like, okay, Kylo killed Snoke, took the leader, no, fuck you, I deserve that title, I should be the ruler. But I highly doubt they thought that ahead, and honestly, I do believe that Snoke's second apprentice is kind of just going to fade into, like, nothingness. He's just going to be forgotten. Anyway, folks, that's all the stuff that's really come out. I mean, more information about the Sith Troopers, but honestly, it's just play. I don't think they're going to be all badass. I just don't see it. I mean, as I said, they're going to have to go extra hard with the Sith Troopers. As I said, they're either going to have to all be Force sensitives, or they're all going to have to be, like, infused with some kind of ancient Sith DNA or something like that. I mean, you got to think, basic training for stormtroopers in the First Order is you're going to learn to fight Jedi. What the hell is a Sith Trooper going to do then? And then we'll follow the journey of the Rise of Skywalker books and comics coming out. The only one that looks mildly interesting is The Rise of Kylo Ren, but I've kind of grown past that point. I just don't care anymore. I really don't. None of the stories interest me. None of the stories interest me. Because I go back to an earlier statement that I said, is, apparently the First Order is so powerful that in a matter of days, and literally days, they used Starkiller Base, destroyed it wasn't the capital of the New Republic, it was the Senate, because apparently the Senate moved planet to planet, kind of like how the EU moves their Congress bullshit. But anyway, they destroyed just the Senate, and apparently in a matter of days, they launched a massive full-scale invasion and just reigned, as I said in the credits of The Last Jedi, reigned over the galaxy, no problem. So, I just don't see it. And honestly, I don't think these resistant allies that they're doing in that comic book line is going to mean shit. I think it's just going to be terrible. I honestly believe that this... I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I don't even think the most shilly of shill Star Wars channels know what to expect out of this. Everything just seems so... almost like you're staring at a wall, or you're in a maze. You're going through all this stuff to try to figure out what's going on, and you just don't see it. You just don't. And there's just so little world building, if there is any world building at all. You just got to stop and think, what the hell is going on? I just don't know what to expect of The Rise of Skywalker. And honestly, I believe a lot of y'all who watch this channel, y'all probably think the same thing. Like, y'all don't know what to expect. They're giving us all these snippets like Sith Troopers, Pimpa Papa Palpatine, Skywalker, and it's just raining on. They're trying to raid all of this, this movie details on us, and it's just not... I just don't feel excited. I don't feel hyped. I mean... I don't know, folks. I mean, I was more excited to find Star Wars Episode 1 for the PlayStation than I am to looking forward to this movie. But to be fair, Episode 1 for the PlayStation was actually a pretty good game. You should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Anyway, folks, I do apologize about the rambling. As it has been quite a while since I've done a video on this, and I just had to kind of go through and get it all, and I just stayed back. The Sith Troopers, they're going to have to be damn special, and these books and comics that they're coming out with, I just do not see them helping at all. And for the love of God, I bet you, and Thro Skywalker said this as well, so, definitely check his channel out. He said that he hopes that it doesn't become one of those things where it's like when you watch the movie, to understand what's going on, you have to read this comic and you have to play this game and watch this short clip and stuff like that. I mean, that's a bad practice that's happening in movies nowadays and games even. I mean, look at Halo 5. Good Lord. You had to read a bunch of books and comics and watch that fan-made film and a bunch of other stuff just to understand what was going on in Halo 5. That's bad practice, folks. That's bad practice. And if Star Wars does this same thing, that's also bad practice. But luckily for us, so far all of their Journey to the Movie books have been utterly pointless and not worth a damn. Anyway, folks, I apologize about the length, but thank you so much for sticking with me. If you like what you see, definitely, like, subscribe, help me out. I'm probably going to have to end up slowing down a little bit on my YouTube because, life. What can you do? Especially when you're working 2 jobs and you're the breadwinner of your house. But you know what? Not complaining. Folks, thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all later.